Hey there, everybody. Good morning. It's Teepa and Matthew. And today we got in a question about she keeps calling the cops on me, but not just me. She calls the cops on anybody I try to bring in to help. So, what do I do? I mean, I can't win. She truly thinks that we're up to no good, no matter, it seems like no matter what I do. So, what do I do? And so, first of all, let's happening here. And so this may be where support cards come in real handy, but so does the caregiver. Wait, caregiver. We're trying to provide care and she's just not going with it. Is she letting us be a care partner? No, she sees us as criminals. She sees us as people who are out against her. She sees us as people who are trying to do something we shouldn't be doing. And rightfully so, she calls the cops. But we aren't doing anything we shouldn't do. Unfortunately, she sounds clear and sharp enough. So, in my book here, in those moments when she talks to the cops, she sounds sort of like a diamond. But the problem is, she isn't. But she can sound like it. And that's where people have in their heads, and I'm going to be Teepa now. You have in your mind, you have this assumption that when somebody's in a gem state, they'll stay in that gem state. That's simply not true. That's why levels of dementia don't work because you're in a state of mind, a state of brain function. So when she's seeing us, when we're trying to provide support, her gem state is emerald. She's flawed. She repeats patterns and she's on the go, and they are not healthy patterns. So what happens when she gets in front of authority figures, however? Rigid, inflexible. These people are trying to steal things. I have an account. She put her name on it. I never told her to do that. Yes, you did. I'm your healthcare and financial power of attorney. What are you talking about? This is where we could get super defensive. And instead of being in a sapphire state, we go, wait, have to find it. It's harder to find here because we don't think we are. We think we're just in a diamond state. We're reacting to the sensory experience we're having. We feel violated. We are having a negative sensory experience. So, Matthew?
So, Teepa, I'm curious, is this also what happens sometimes in doctors' offices?
Oh, yeah. Doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, medical, like any of those places where the primitive brain of the person living with dementia signals alert. This is a threatening situation. You better show well. And it's called showtime. And the brain pulls it off for a short window of time. They sound perfectly reasonable, perfectly logical. They can find language. They may struggle a little, but no more than any stressed out person would with somebody taking money from their account. And it's like, but, and what you could find, not even amber, you may be more ruby like just strong and forceful. So in here you find the card, but here's the problem. If it's just the two of you, you're just going to keep going back and forth and back and forth. And I can certainly in that moment say, oh, you know what you want to do? Turn to page 12 and page 13, and then look over on page 16, 17, because you're going to need to develop some individual skills for better interactions. But you got a bigger problem than that because now you have a community that doesn't quite trust you. And it's not just you, it's anybody you bring in, apparently. So anybody who's trying to provide quote unquote support, she doesn't want people in her business. Now, we might wonder why that is. And what I'd say is, wow, she's showing us evidence that she needs different support. So this would be a time to take a pause, perhaps after I've settled things down as much as I can, and recognize, wow, I need a different system support. So Matthew has pulled up the link. What I would say is maybe it's time to turn to law enforcement, turn to the doctor's office and say, hey, I'm really struggling because you, I'm sure, are familiar with da 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 da, Mary Sue. Yeah, she's my mom, and I'm trying to support. Now, she has been diagnosed with a couple of dementias. I brought by the dementia support card because I know, and I also brought by our umbrella card because I noticed that we've got some issues happening, and I know she's calling you, and I know it's frustrating, and I am so sorry this is happening for both of us. My goal is to provide support and help. Here's my paperwork. The problem is, whenever she talks to y'all, she seems to be able to do things. So I also brought some gem cards. And I'm just wondering, could we have a conversation? Now, I didn't do it as well as I could have. Why? Because I'm still a little anxious about how this is going. And I don't expect people to be perfect. But what I am asking for is raise your hand and say, I need help. But rather than doing it with the person living with dementia, maybe it's time to take a step back and do it with a bigger system and go, I'm stuck and I could use some help here. Tell me sort of some of the things that, given all this information, what are you all thinking? Because, I mean, I'm very aware that she feels threatened, and I'm trying to figure out how to not have her be so threatened by us trying to make sure she's eating, that the food in her refrigerator is not spoiled, that she's not gifting people with money and then thinking I took it when she actually gave it to someone else who is not somebody we wanted her giving money to. Um, and she didn't give them money before because she said they were, a waste of time. But now here she goes because they say, yeah, Teepa's a bad person. So she starts to trust him. I'd really like us to come up with some sort of game plan so she stays safe. You all feel like you're doing, what you're doing, and I know what I'm doing, and we're working together on this because she's going to keep calling if we don't. So I'm going to pause there.
And Teepa, this reminds me of some stories we've heard from our community who talked about how they have developed that relationship with law enforcement, with
Yep.
the fire department, and through that relationship have found ways to work together. Because in this case, thinking about when someone shifts into that diamond gem state, they're looking for the boss. And in this
Yep.
case, they may be seeing the law enforcement as the boss. And
Yep.
so them coming in and even potentially saying, it sounds like your daughter is just thinking about this or looking at that. Tell you what, let me take a look and I'll tell her I looked so I can say I actually looked. And then that way maybe she'll pause or that'll shift and get a chance to check on those things, to see those particular pieces, because they're the person who is seen as the safe, is seen as the boss, is seen as the one that they can trust. So finding that way to create that relationship so we can all work together when one thing isn't working, finding the shift versus, well, then what do we do? I guess we just don't do anything.
We just keep having these phone calls and I keep being frustrated or I give up. And so abuse or neglect, it doesn't, we don't want to just push helpers because that's not care partnering. But right now, I need to get partnerships outside of the one that I'm not getting with my person and look for other ways to do this so that we can get to a better place as I work on my skills. So, wow, mom, you thought I was taking money. Oh, wow. Well, no wonder you don't trust me. So, out of the account that you set up and that, well, let's take a look at it because I really want to understand what's going on. So here's a copy of a check that got written to Mary Beth, which is, my cousin that you've talked about. And it looks like you signed it.
Well, I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember writing that.
Yeah, well, that's what I didn't remember me writing it. And so that's why I was curious about it. It looks like she might have come by and asked you for money. And for some reason at that time, you felt like you had to do that for her. I don't know what, but I mean, that's your signature, yeah?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, when you look at the others, yeah, I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't look like someone did it, but I don't remember doing that. Why would I have
I
done
hear
that?
you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure, but boy, that's a little scary. So somehow she got you to do something you don't typically do. I don't like that. Do you think we should talk to the police about that?
Well, I mean, it would probably be good because we got to figure out what to do. I mean, I didn't
Yeah, I'm
want that
not
money.
liking how she did that. I don't know, maybe how she snuck in and got you to think about that way. That's not okay. Maybe we should let them know that this pattern can't continue and maybe they could talk to her about it.
Well, I mean, we should let someone know because I that can't keep happening.
I couldn't agree with you more. It doesn't feel safe. Pause. What I just showed you was a lot of mastery, and that was me getting to a place, thinking it through, doing some talking with somebody that I can work on my skills with before I get there. But it also means I want law enforcement to know more than they might know, and give them some background story, maybe even helping them understand who my mom is, who I am, what our relationship is. It does maybe mean revealing some family secrets that might, you don't necessarily want to talk about, but indeed, if you have a cousin who's getting mom to write checks, that's not a good thing. And maybe let the police be the bad guy instead of you go, Mom, we talked about this. Mary's, she's not a good. That's me being Amber. That's not me being thoughtful. That's not even me being Diamond or Emerald. It's me just having a sensory, visceral reaction to my cousin doing it again, or my brother, or the person that does X. I mean, it's that feeling of frustration that we get to such a point as I can't think. So we've got some resources for you. You're recognizing your efforts at care partnering could use some bolstering. Take a step back, broaden your view, look around, see what or who or how you might be able to take a resource and make it available, and do a little awareness training, because advocacy is more than just for one person. We may end up having to advocate for ourselves, as what we're trying to do is incredibly complex and emotionally fraught. Till next time, take care with your care and take care of yourself. And maybe raise your hand and reach out, because sometimes that's exactly what you need to change. Take care, everybody.